Hello, everyone, and welcome to This is Revolution. Originally scheduled today was Aaron Benenev, and apparently he's not showing up. But I do have my trusty co-hosts coming all the way live from Miami, Florida. You know him as the angriest Haitian in the Western Hemisphere. He's my homie, my dog, Pascal Robert.
Peace and greetings to the chat. Peace and greetings to Jason. Jason's mine. Listen, Jason, you may not have known a lot of Haitian people in your life. As angry as you think I am, trust me, I am far from the angriest Haitian in the world. Brother,
there's a few people that will challenge you on that, on your angry Haitianness.
Brother, I am, believe me.
Hey, that's who you're going to be today. And, coming from Maine, he's a laid back Jamaican man by way of Ohio. He served this country, and now he is part of an organization that I support every time I put up an audio podcast. I put a link to their show. We go on his show every Tuesday. He is Marcus from the Left Flank Vets.
What's up? How we doing,
Marcus?
And so, actually, I mean, like, I'm gonna say, Pascal, you think Jason might be projecting when he's labeling you? I mean, maybe Jason's just the angriest Californian dude. You're rocking Jason the death row. You know,
this is the thing. This is interesting, right? Jason has very good temperament until you get him angry. Somebody gets Jason angry, and then they're gonna get shanked.
Pascal has a bad side of anger on me. I can't lie. He has seen.
But this is the thing, though, right? I will say this about myself, and you can correct me if I'm wrong. I think I'm consistently intense. I'm consistently intense. Not really angry, but consistently intense. Jason is normally mellow, but when he gets angry, he will pop off.
Yeah. 0 to 60. Pascal, that sounds like something that's like one of a book marketer.
Nigga, what?
Might have you added to the board? You know what? Something I was thinking was like would be good with the little thing from "Don't Be a Message," like message. You know.
Hey, somebody put butter pecan. That was probably the angriest I've ever been on
live. You're welcome. You're welcome for that. You're welcome.
All fans have memories, man.
Yeah.
So
you think no one's watching? Right?
Think no one's watching. Everybody's watching. Like, hey, we remember when you yelled at that nigga about some ice cream. He was about to go through this computer and try to take his heart out over
the ice cream.
And nigga said that shit to me, and I was like, what the fuck, man? Ain't nobody's ever slapped the shit out of you, huh? Well. You know, people say some bold, dumb shit. You be like, man, you have never been in a fight, huh?
I mean, I feel like you just described fucking Twitter.com, you know? Just a whole mess of people saying some dumb shit that
man.
Never, not once had to deal with the repercussions of their words.
People got whole ass shows talking outlandish shit in the basement, knowing they ain't never got just the fire slapped out there. Like, that's how I could tell. You know who's funny? Talib Kweli had a podcast with a rapper I used to actually know pretty well named Murs, and they had got into a discussion because Talib is like my he's middle class Negro. His parents were like professors or teachers, and they never spanked him. And Murs was like, yeah, when I first met you, I felt like, yeah, this is a nigga that never got spanked by. It was like he never got hit.
Yeah.
They had a whole conversation about that shit. It was a very interesting conversation. But
I believe it. Talib Kweli, interesting cat, man. Ask Senator Johnson about his Talib Kweli Instagram experience. Him and I had a mutual Instagram experience with Talib Kweli that was quite fascinating.
You challenged his black first.
Yeah, he was making the argument. If you've never seen it, there is a YouTube that talks about a commercial that came out in the 50s, talking about how to get black people to engage in commercial consumerism, or how to market to black people, how to market products, blah blah blah.
We played a clip from that before.
Yeah, and he was saying, you see, this is the conspiracy. This is how they get us. They try to market to us to destroy black business communities. We shouldn't have fell for it. And then Senator Johnson was like, you know, that commercial was paid for and produced by Johnson & Johnson Publishing, the black company, because they were trying to increase black people from being able to buy products. He was like, no, I don't believe it. He was like, here's a link. Check it out. He's like, no, that's not true. I came in and I was like, brother, it's absolutely true. You can document it. Bro, go to the Wikipedia for the commercial. It actually says that it was paid for by Johnson & Johnson. He was like, yo, whatever. But I was like, okay, whatever, dude.
Yeah. Yeah, man. There's something wild that I learned, there's some, some psychological study, but it's basically, most times when human beings are presented with the facts that disprove a firmly held belief, they actually walk away from that engagement more firmly held in the now debunked belief. And so that's like, especially too, so you see it with like a lot of people that do get into conspiracy theories, and especially now QAnon, where you could literally keep saying, well, no, you look at this, look at this, look at this, look at this evidence. And they'll say, and like, this is something that they'll say, the more that you fight me, the more that I know that I'm right.
And
hurts my
heart to hear.
Yeah, I know, but like, it seems like Talib Kweli got stuck in that. It's like, no, man, at this point, Pascal's now been, entered by the demon of white supremacy, and it's trying to trick us with the lies. Wikipedia starts with W. You know what else starts with W? White.
Hey, oh yeah, I almost went down and I was gonna call somebody out, but I'm not gonna.
Listen, man.
Go ahead. We got our yeah. Go ahead. Go ahead.
You don't mind? Listen, I wanted to take this opportunity, since unfortunately, Mr. Benedev could not be on our show, automation, to pivot to something that I had posted originally on my Facebook and Instagram, that I took it to the Twitter timeline, that kind of put forth my analysis on what is the utility of the post-George Floyd ruling class, of the post-George Floyd great awakening to the ruling class, and how does it fit into the overall posture Black corporate and commercial media has had in the post-Obama era. Let me give you my thesis. My position is this, that with the rise of particularly Ta-Nehisi Coates' discourse around the case for reparations, what comes about towards the end of the Obama presidency and project, I argue that piece was a concession speech to the failure of the Obama presidency. Why is that my theory? It harkens me back to something Bruce Dixon told me when we were talking about reparations. He said, reparations is the policy that the Black politician, when he's about to get in trouble or get kicked out of office, would say, reparations, we need reparations, to shore up his racial bona fides. So in the face of a political downfall, loss, or accusation of corruption, or basically a demonstration that he has not been effective for his black constituency, his means of trying to gain those bona fides back was to say, we need reparations. Basically, taking that theory, Coates, whose main purpose in being dispatched by the ruling left flank of capital in the Atlantic was to validate the Obama project in the consciousness of white America as being the ventriloquist for the black voice, to say, this is our first black president. We love him. He is everything we've ever wanted. With the Trayvon Martin, with the Tamir Rice, and all of the events that happened over in Obama, where there's a large discontent of black people who were like, this guy couldn't even protect us from cops. Then all of a sudden, Coates realizes, and I did a podcast with Eric Draitser that I posted in my Twitter timeline about this when it happened at the time, that we need reparations, the case for reparations, in order to say, well, listen, Obama was a failure for black people. The only thing that we can do is have reparations. A very Afro-pessimistic-like position. From that time on, the psychological posture of the black chattering class, because they realized that the Obama project was a failure for black, particularly for the African-American community or the black American community, they start to move on taking the police brutality cases, and the media starts to explode with images. There was a time on Facebook, I thought I was seeing 3 Negroes get shot a week in terms of Facebook videos. It was like bang, 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 and proliferate this kind of like racial grievance as a means of taking Black Lives Matter, merging it with the Coates discourse, and we're like, okay, we know the first black president project failed. We've got to find a way to keep these black people wedded to the right-wing flank of neoliberal capital. So let's get them into this liberal, anti-racist, America's endlessly racist, all the best you're going to get is some fat back and biscuits concessions type politics, because we need them to get around and surround Hillary and get her into the 2016 election. Bang, 2016 comes, Bernie Sanders not only runs, but he becomes a hot success with the white, particularly educated community, younger kids, millennials, who are economically downwardly mobile but educated because of the Great Recession and Obama's inability to capitalize on the economy even for them. And their reaction is, which rightly so, we're moving to the left. We're Marxist, materialist, democratic, socialist. We love Bernie. We love Bernie. Because Obama, starting with Bill Clinton, but Obama has sucked the black community so much into the neoliberal, pro-market, corporate part of the Democratic Party that has destroyed particularly the black community. There's an effort, because that sector, that community, the black community, is needed to bolster that neoliberal position. There's an effort to keep them wedded there by the media starting the project of Bernie Sanders is a racist because he doesn't like reparations, and the white socialists are class reductionists. They're not going to give us any policy to deal with racism, and socialism has nothing to do with black people. When we've already had a whole show illustrating that before the McCarthy era, going back to at least the populist era in the 1800s, black people have been in large numbers wedded to the anti-capitalist socialist project. So my position is that when Coates kneecaps Bernie Sanders and helps keep black politics in the fulcrum of that reactionary politics in 2016, Trump wins, and when everything goes chaotic for 4 years. 2020 comes, we have George Floyd. The Great Awakening comes about in the same way to pimp out, a porn all over America right before the election, to get black folk are rioting in the streets, to get again that constituency wedded to that neoliberal project in the 2020 election, and supporting Biden as opposed to supporting Sanders in the primary, and even before. I mean, because the blowback from the George Ford is after the primary, but to actually dissuade any kind of materialist politics from into African American political discourse, and it worked. And now with Joe Biden's diverse cabinet and all this other nonsense, there's an attempt to kind of use this discourse to delegitimize as well the fascist element of the Trumpians that took power for 4 years under the charade of liberal anti-racism, but also continue to create the illusion in the minds of the black misleadership class and the black political class that the Democrats care about race and racism. All of this doing nothing but creating the blowback with this wokeness, this liberal, worthless, critical race theory that doesn't challenge capitalism, and intersectionality that doesn't challenge capitalism, this Afro-pessimism that doesn't challenge capitalism, asking for fatback and biscuits, is going to create the blowback to create a real fascist movement in this country. And we see that happening with the way all these states are putting laws together to ground black people to powder with this anti-racism talk that's divorced from capitalism. I've said enough. I've been on my soapbox. What do you guys think?
Go for it, Marcus.
I mean, like, man, you said a whole shit ton of
You weren't ready for that. There was a whole man. We're prepared for automation and talking about job reports, and here I am reading Business Insider job reports.
No, I think you're right. You know, like the only thing is like I question is like what to like what extent is this type of thing coordinated versus just like the like ebbs and flows of people who've been like conditioned to just like feed off of that type of shit. And not just talking about like black people having to fucking watch black trauma porn, but also a fuck ton of white people being mobilized off of it. And like what does that serve? It largely, you know, large group of people come out. I feel like I did something, you know, we go back home. Maybe I call my senator to pass the George Floyd Justice and Policing Act, and then police departments get more money for training. So yeah, you know, is this you know, all just a dog and pony show? In the same, you know, in type of the same type of cycles it kind of goes on. Like, I don't think there's any way that anyone could disagree. This is you know, for the Democrats, this is the, you know, like the kind of operating procedure. And I've been saying it was like, you know, when they were fucking trying to sell Bill Clinton as the first black president, you know what I'm saying? Like this
said that.
Yeah, right. So we're going, you know, like before, you know, Obama, but you know, and that's when they, and like that's when you like, and you have Joe Biden come in and say, hey, if you don't vote for me, you're not black, you know, and having not just fucking, you know, the wokenism, you know, sign off on this shit, but you know, some of the other people that we talk shit about too.
We got into this a little bit, and later today I have to get started on another project. So if people don't know, kind of the This Is Revolution universe is now doing a project with Zero Books, where we're making video essays, and the first one went out a couple weeks ago. It was kind of my take on Nomadland, and the newest one is up now. And Pascal had went off on a fiery rant on Karine Jean-Pierre and Haiti and the Biden administration. And I'm gonna actually play that video in a second. And the new series we're going to start doing, and I think Napoleon the Legend is going to help me with a little bit of this as far as like some music for it. Pascal wrote an interesting piece on Kanye West and another one on Clarence Avant, and we're going to kind of tie them all together into a longer, it's still part of this series, but this is going to be like a 3 or 4 parter. And there's a lot to be said about the politics of containment, as Pascal always talks about, especially with like Black popular culture. And when you look at the rise of Black Lives Matter, and when you look at the rise of dark Black faces or faces of color in high places, this cabinet has done that. And even if you like just watch the change in news, how it was with Donald Trump, you know, every day certain news channels would say this is the death toll, this is the death toll, this is the death toll. I don't really get a death toll anymore. You know, we're not looking at Corona the same way. We're not looking at police violence the same way. There's something to be said anyway about the way we look at police violence. But one of the fears I had with the Biden-Harris presidency or administration was that people were going to get back to being Obama levels of complacent.
What's even worse now we have Biden is the new FDR. Why are you fighting him?
I wouldn't say he's the new FDR.
That's what these motherfuckers are saying, though. They say it all the damn time. And the thing that like actually pisses me off the most is that like he will just put out these policies for, oh hey, this is my plan for this is my plan for that. Congress is not going to do shit. Congress is not going to pass another bill that just doesn't fund the government. It's done. They are done. And so whatever Joe Biden says is all just hopes and dreams.
Well, look, here's the question. I know we've done the kind of playing around with the options, possibilities here. Do we agree on this level? This discourse, this Black trauma porn, great awakening, racial discourse, you know, MSNBC showing the butter biscuits of the slave cooking of, or you know, whatever the hell from 1822, and documentaries of that nature. All of this, the racism
out of this.
Is this facilitating a culture of blowback that's fueling reactionary right-wing tension? Yes or no?
Yes. I mean, yeah. Yes, 100%. I read the book of the damn Space Force commander, who his argument is solely critical at race theory is the delivery mechanism for Black Lives Matter and Marxism to destroy the military and thus America. You know, and like this dude is getting propped up. This ties into a whole mess of other individuals, but that all leads to, like you said, like the reactionary right that is infinitely more energetic than any other, you know, movement in the United States, and dangerously so. I mean, if you think like, hey, the fact that they caught the people trying to kidnap a governor, or they're arresting people that, you know, had broken on January 6th, it's just gonna be the end of it. Like, no, this, you know, that the fact that like that emboldens people, and then plus, yes, this whole fake wokening racial grievance, it is being used to create content from books to podcasts to social media posts in order to engage the reactionary right to pass laws or do worse. And we're seeing it happen like in real time.
Jason, what do you think? Is Jason there? Did we lose him for a while?
But I'll say this. Well, I guess I'll add on too that it's like I think that, you know, LeBron James is a big part of this shit. Like,
I've been calling LeBron out for a minute.
You have it,
and I, you know what, man? Again, as much as we talk about how pop culture influences real life, LeBron James has his hand in it, and I can't stress this enough. And I think we said this on Marcus's show. People are very divorced from labor movements at this point because of the Reagan-Thatcher war on labor. And the one thing that gets people even talking about labor movements is sports. you don't have to agree with, why these guys are striking all the time, but it definitely gets you into a labor discussion. And when the NBA decided to strike last year during the playoffs, that was massive. And LeBron James and Barack Obama came in and crushed that shit right away.
And I'll say this too, is like the important thing too is that they weren't striking for their contracts, right? So that's where too is like that's where labor movements actually have their power. You don't strike for your sake, you strike in solidarity with, right? And that's when actually things get shut the fuck down. That's when you get most concessions from power, authority, capital, whatever they're fighting against at that period of time. But when the whole NBA says, listen, the way that cops are just shooting and killing motherfuckers in the street, we stand in solidarity with someone that is outside of our union, outside of our class.
Thank you.
For Barack Obama and to call LeBron, and like the fact that LeBron is the what's the tip of the spear on that shit. Because like that thing too was like, is there not no smarter fucking cat to be like, no, we can't trust this Obama motherfucker. Do you not know anything about unions? Hey, there's a bunch of people that know a lot about basketball, but is there anybody in the fucking NBA union that knows anything about unions?
I know people with good union jobs. Everybody here from the chat on down, we know people with good union jobs that hate unions. We can't act like unions are infallible and they're perfect. There are flawed union leaders, and there has been flawed union leadership for some time, and there's been unions that have definitely worked in concert with the ruling class. We can't deny this. That being said, when the NBA figures out, oh, we actually hold all the cards here. There's a movie that was on Netflix. I don't know if it's still there, that they actually filmed with an iPhone. And it was about an NBA lockout. It's a fictional, forget what it's called. It's about an NBA lockout. And player gets into a fight with another player, like just kind of jabbing back and forth at some sort of community. Someone was taping it with the camera phone. And these guys went at it on a one-on-one game, but no one saw who the winner was because whoever was recording it, their camera cut off. So everybody, the scuttlebutt was, oh shit, these dudes just play one-on-one. So this agent that's kind of down on his luck, so this is the power move for you players. We'll tell the league, we're going to go get a contract with YouTube. We'll get a contract with Netflix, and we'll air these games ourselves, these one-on-one games that we control. And the strike ends up ending. And it was an interesting movie, and it kind of just went away. Maybe they were afraid.
Let me up the ante with my position here. Here's the question: for us who are on the left, the black left, I think it behooves us to try to create a strategy to expand the Overton window of politics in the black community, because we've already done the historical analysis on this show that there will be no left in America without black people being part of it. What are the vehicles and mechanisms that need to be done to take the black electoral political fulcrum out of the right flank of the Democratic Party and push it to the left? What are the mechanisms that need to be done to make that happen?
So for me, I mean, this is actually something I kind of I wanted to ask to talk about on Tuesday. We might as well just talk about it now, because understanding that this is largely just messaging stuff, but Cori Bush and Jamal Bowman introduced a bill that was targeting utilities and having utilities be under public ownership, and therefore thus guaranteed to everyone. And yeah, my question was literally going to be, do y'all see that as an example of people that are now in the black political class moving to the left in a significant fashion, even though, hey, federal stuff, you're just going to largely get messaging,
Well, I mean,
I don't
they ran on a kind of left sock dem adjacent politics. So I think that comes from them, but that they aren't going to be able to do the work to organize, to mobilize Black people on the ground with a left politics. And what I'm saying is that, I know some people dislike these analogies. I'm a big fan of Ella Baker. As a matter of fact, guys, check out my piece. Ella Baker and the Limits of Charismatic Masculinity. It's in Huffington Post. It's also in Black Agenda Report. As a matter of fact, Jason, you looked that up. Ella Baker and the Limits of Charismatic.
Quit shilling. Your point.
Masculinity. And I'm a big fan of Ella Baker because she was the author and creator of the SNCC paradigm of political education, in which she did not depend on silk suit wearing Black elites who were normally controlling the civil rights movement from above, from Montgomery to Selma, vis-a-vis the SCLC and the NAACP. And she said, we can go in the hood, we can go in the barrio, we can go in the plantations in the South, and we talk to the people and we give them the political education necessary to allow them to participate in politics and make decisions for themselves. And I've always said, in my humble opinion, in all my over 10 years of writing online, that the only function that the Black petite bourgeois or the Black professional managerial class should have in Black politics is to do Ella Baker style political education, as opposed to being racial ventriloquists sucking off the blood and bones of poor and working class Black people for fatback and biscuits patronage for their coalescence and collaboration with the ruling class. And I think that's the best implementation of what Amilcar Cabral called class suicide. And
once again, I agree 100%, and like some of the stuff that you're just talking about, like this is just like basic fucking politics, like that's, if you're going to run any type of successful campaign, if your shoes ain't worn at the end of it, like you probably lost. And that's not even a guarantee. But no, that's where I think, like one thing, right, is like there's not going to be a successful left without Black people, because Black people will be used, right? This is Pascal, I'm quoting you right now. Black people will be used to undermine it, and with this fucking fake woke shit. But also it's not going to be successful unless a in and out of politics movement is solidified. And yeah, I agree with where political education needs to be at the gate, not the gatekeeper, but that is like, as you pass into whatever this, new thing is, there needs to be some type of education. And that's where, like, largely, you see where like the Black Panthers were successful, because people weren't just told what to do, they knew why they were doing it. And you have a lot more motivated, a lot more smart, a lot more decentralized ability to do things if people actually know why they're doing things. And this point, yeah, people just don't know. They just see, hey, I see Black bodies being murdered in the streets. And so I know that I don't like that. And so, like, let's march about it. You can't build a movement off of where you're going against, right?
Without political education, we're just ceding the future to the right wing because they are organizing and educating,
or miseducating, you say.
I'm gonna do something, guys, and I know Pascal's gonna get mad, but I don't care. I have to deal with it. Bam.
Oh, whoa! We're taking calls in a live show.
Oh, damn.
We'll be here for a few more minutes. We're not gonna stay too late today, man. I'm kind of pissed off. So we'll take some calls.
Hell yeah.
I just want to let people know now. We took calls on the patron show. It's a new feature. I tend to fuck it up. I'm letting you know now. I may accidentally hang up on you. Shit ain't on purpose. I don't know who the fuck you are calling. But
you still don't know how to use a call?
You know what?
It's practice makes
You
perfect.
take the fucking call in, goddamn it, doing criticize me about what I'm doing.
I just asked a question, man. Don't get all defensive.
Shit. And now the rest of the motherfuckers taking calls. We screen nothing. Oh shit, there it is. You hear that? All right. Hold on.
Hello, first caller. Where are you calling from?
There you go. You're on the air.
Hi there. My name's Pete, and I'm from Tennessee. How you doing?
Oh, that's Gene.
That's Gene Bajlan. Gene,
hey, I just wanted to ring in and test out your phone system.
I'm getting a little quicker on the draw, right?
It's looking good. Pascal was really giving an excellent speech there. I enjoyed it.
Yeah, I'm glad he gave that speech because we weren't going to do the show today.
Well, I will let you get back to the
And then I said the terrorists
and,
won't win.
You said terrorists won't win. Well, I'll let you guys get back to the show and have someone else call in. But I just wanted to test out your phone, and you are getting much quicker on it. You take care, guys.
Peace, Gene.
All right.
Gene was on we did a show last night. We did our nerd show last night for 3 hours. We were talking crazy nerd shit for 3 hours, and Gene was on the show.
Comic books or like
comic books, movies,
quantum computing, nerd shit,
gaming. There's another call. Oh, I think that was him. I think he called an accident.
How about that?
Oh, do you guys? The number's up. If you guys want to call, I'm taking your call. I'm getting better on answering the phone.
But
while we're waiting, Pascal asked like
in terms of the actual strategy, because this is the thing, right? We don't have a very large number of people among us on the black left as we once had, right? We basically have a small number of black folk who are in the Democratic Socialist kind of Sanders coterie. You have the old school hardcore revolutionary nationalists, Black Agenda Report type brothers and sisters, our brothers and sisters at Black Power Media. All shout out to them. I got my political education from folks like that. And then you have us who are not afraid or opposed to any of those politics, but are trying to play a middle ground where we can bring it together.
Shit. Good, go for it. You're on the air.
To send a voicemail, press 2.
Oh, wait a minute. You're on the air. Hello.
Yes, it's Thomas. It's Thomas from Richmond. I think there might be a delay.
From Richmond, Virginia?
Yeah, Virginia.
There's a great Cajun restaurant in Richmond, Virginia, and I can't remember the fucking name of it. What is the name of it?
Lady
Thomas?
Nolan?
Is there a stage in the back?
Yeah, I think it has a stage in the back. It's a really low, tight place.
Yes.
Like on a corner.
Yes.
Yeah.
I played a show. Yes. I know that spot. What's up, man? What do you want to get into?
What's up? I just wanted to. I don't really have like a question. I just wanted to call in and say thanks. I mean, I live in Richmond, Virginia, and what you guys say about black professional politics it couldn't be more true about a city than a place like Richmond, Virginia, where I mean, it's just a slush fund of every business interest in the state that's flowing through both the mayor's office and the city council. I mean, I don't want to get into hyper specific stuff, but I mean, like, for example, we have a ton of money pumping into the city from a casino interest right now. Who's trying to build, shock of shocks, a casino in the poorest, blackest part of town. And it's got the backing of every black member of the city council, mayor's office, so on and so forth.
Don't sound so sad, man. Don't
yeah. You don't like blackjack? No.
Yeah. I didn't see a casino.
And can I ask you, are you aware of, or are any movements that are like grassroots that are trying to stop it? Are there any coalitions that are kind of coming together to kind of battle against?
Has there been an economic impact statement done to show what the effects are going to be of the casino in that community?
So I think the only impact statement that's come out is the one that's been funded by the casino, which said, it'll create however many jobs and blah, 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 and they're going to be over $15 an hour. But there is kind of like an organized interest against it. However, it isn't. So the law that they passed that allows the construction of casinos in Virginia requires a referendum on the ballot after the local council has approved it. So they still haven't approved it as a city council, but it seems like the casino's given a majority of the council members several $1,000s in kind of like open bribes because we don't really have campaign finance laws in Virginia. But the organized movement against it, I would say, is like it's really just sort of a coalition of moralist, both church communities on the black side of town, the white side of town, and also just a kind of like general NIMBY interest where it's seen as gauche or something like that to have a casino in town. So it isn't really a unified political interest, but it does have to go to a referendum. So I expect once the council announces that they're going to approve it and recommend it for a referendum, there'll be a more unified response.
Damn. Well, Thomas, I'm coming back to Richmond when all this COVID shit is over because I had a lot of fun at that spot. And if I remember correctly, the food was actually pretty damn good.
When you go back, though, hopefully there's the
huge metal and hardcore team.
That show, I could get into a whole other show about that show, and I'm not going to, but it was an interesting show to say the least. I was actually invited back. And I do want to go back. I just dig Richmond, Virginia. I actually like certain parts of Virginia quite a bit. Not the hugest fan of Northern Virginia, but sorry, Marcus.
Where Quantico is. Not a big fan, huh? Langley? No, not a big fan.
But thank you for calling, Thomas. And shit, man, keep checking us out.
Yeah,
peace. There you go, Thomas from Richmond, Virginia.
But and I say if I could tie this into the question, I think this is part of it. And I think we like throw out a lot of like three letter organization, DSA, PSO, you got Socialist Alternative. Like there's a lot of different organizations that are, on the left, some work, politically, some not. But no, the coalition would have to be built. There's just not enough left for like this sectarian shit. But then also too, it's like that's just meeting people where they are on like almost every issue, whether it's school funding, whether some type of union strike, or just a community organizing to push against a casino. As long as that's not what they it's not what they want. But in all aspects of those things, comes political education, and it does not mean, oh, hey, how you doing? I'm here to help you. Here's capital, I'll be here back tomorrow and have the first 3 chapters read, and we'll talk about theory. Like it needs to be something that's fucking real. It needs to be something that's real. And so yeah,
well, it's actually great. So our guest today just hit me up and apologize, and we're trying to reschedule, but now we can reschedule him and have Dr. Bear on at the same time, Pascal.
That's dope. That works.
See?
Actually, give me time to finish his book. When I started reading it, and I was like, okay. Some good shit.
Did you like the video I sent you? The video? Did you watch it? Okay.
Yeah. Well, and who is it? Blythe?
Yeah, that was a good video.
I saw this was like I think I might have still like been in the Marine Corps, and I think he was on with Michael Brooks, or
Yeah.
maybe he was on with one of either Majority Report or Michael Brooks, and like I was like, oh yeah, we're getting like that was like one of the like I remember watching like yeah, we're getting fucked. We are all getting fucked. Like
he had a good book about austerity, and he has rounds. Oh god, I want to say that was like 2014, 2015. He was making a lot of the rounds. When did you get out of the service?
2016.
Oh shit.
Yeah.
I'd love to get Blythe on the show, man. He'd be a good guest.
Well, one economist at a time.
Yeah.
The number's up if you guys want to call in. We're taking your calls. I'm not fucking up as bad as I was before.
It seems to be going smooth.
You thought?
While we're waiting,
are you going to be able to change the title of the show when you post it on YouTube? Or is that impossible?
I have to re-edit it, so it's going to go up as this, and then I'll edit it, and it'll just be called Pascal Rants about black people.
Oh wow, is that all that happened here today?
Pascal, I'd ask, like, well, what do you think? You know, like, I think we've talked about kind of at length of like how there needs to be an outreach into the black community by leftist organizations, but do you kind of agree with that concept, or do you see, I don't know, any type of merit of that?
I proposed something to Jason. He was a little skeptical about it. I actually think there needs to be some penetration of a faction of blacks into a left organization. Why can't we get those same black petit bourgeois PMC black folk to
we got a call. One thing I have to learn how to do is not interrupt people. You are on the air.
Hey, Jason, this is Karthik.
Oh,
Karthik.
If it isn't the Brown TIR brother, what it do, Karthik?
I was going to ask you if you talked about the Grimes video already.
No, because I kind of mildly mentioned something about it. I made an intro video for our guest who we had to reschedule. And I that Grimes video was kind of silly.
It's a hot mess. So Grimes is Elon Musk's wife.
Mm-hmm.
And
okay.
She's also a artist, right? She's a musician.
She was a huge artist.
Yeah. Not in my repertoire. But she made a video about how AI is going to, create luxury communism. But then she finished it off with like, well, because like forced farming is a bad aesthetic, okay, or some shit like that. It was like very, very strange.
Well, have you seen her? I think it was Esperanza that goes on Nomiki's show. Had called Grimes out and was like, "Look how these people, they kind of cosplay." Because I guess Grimes in high school said she was a Stalinist, right?
I mean,
because that's
high schools
right?
High schoolers will say a lot of things.
And then she put the link to that crazy ass video.
Oh Jesus!
Is Karthik still on the line?
Yes, I am.
Yeah.
I want to know what you thought, but that was basically about the fact that, and I don't know if I've seen some article along those lines, and if the book is actually about that. So I wanted to check out this book for a while. And I wanted to know what you thought about the idea of fully automated luxury communism in general. Like, is that something that this revolution is fighting for?
No.
I mean, but I guess like I think what's it was kind of in the talk, and if and I'm hope it's probably going to depth into the book. It's like we're not actually there yet. Like
Matter of
by
fact,
even
I would-
close. Like the technology
Banana
itself is not there.
does a really good job of kind of refuting the fully automated luxury communism talking points. He's not a fan of it at all. He kind of he neutralizes a lot of those talking points. But I want to finish my point before Jason took that call. My argument for entryism, for infiltration, for the people who asked what I was going to say, was to have the same petite bourgeois members of the black political class who are not elected officials, the PMC, the black PMC. Why don't they join to advocate that they join DSA and get radicalized by DSA and radicalize it, take it over, and then use that organization as a vehicle to not only promote electoralism into the Democratic Party, or maybe not the Democratic Party, but also doing, since DSA already has the infrastructure in cities all over the country to hit black communities.
I think one of the most difficult things about the DSA is the
White people.
like well the them I mean it's like the fact that it's a democratic organization and it moves at a snail's pace, you know, and but at the same I think that can happen, and like that's where too is like, you know, we talk, I reconsider. It's like, well, what's my role in like, and like, gonna have to find a new DSA chapter when I move. But like, what's my role in my DSA chapter? Because as of right now, it's just kind of showing up to the meetings that I feel interested in, and you know, when there's like, oh hey, we're supporting this union, can you chip in? All right, here's $10. And we're gonna, you know, bring some fucking donuts to what? All right, cool. You know, like. So as a black dude now, you know, like, and we're critiquing, like, are we going to try and do the same thing? And like, do you think that it would be successful if, you know, like not just elected officials, but more just prominent black people who just trying to either utilize the DSA or the DSA inversely utilize them, you know, and just do the same thing. Hey, we need you to be a vehicle of leftist politics, you know, to the black community.
Also, can we say shout out to Todd Buckingham and thank you for the $25 super chat. Been watching Oscar Bears videos. Thanks for recommending them. Anytime, man. Oscar Bear is also part of the TIR family. Karthik, are you still there?
Yes, I am. But thank you for answering the question. Thank you for talking about the topic. I'm always happy to tune in anytime. So I'll let somebody else call you in.
Before you go, Karthik, I want to say this to you while you are on air. I'm watching you on Instagram play guitar, and I'm laughing at your very serious guitar face every time. So I also hope that you are appreciating something else as well, like that I'm doing while I'm doing. I can't get beyond the face. Sorry.
Oh no! I mean, I was just saying, he's like, but you are watching. But you are watching.
Like, you are so locked in right now. I don't even want to fuck with you. But now I'm gonna fuck with you. Not just playing with you. I'm enjoying it, brother. You keep it up, and we will talk about, you know, coming back on anyway. So, because you are part of the fan.
Absolutely. More soon. Thank you so much. I appreciate the encouragement. Anytime.
Peace, Karthik.
Later, Karthik.
He's a good guy.
Yeah, Karthik's
dope. Janice Graham. She should have Janice Graham call in.
Well, you know what? I keep forgetting that I'm taking the number down. So there you go. Here's the number to call in. We haven't figured out our spiel yet when people call what we say. Like, what should I say, Jessica? Like, who are you? Where are you calling from? I should say that. It sucks because I can see where they're calling from when they call. So I don't want to be like, hey, yeah, who the fuck are you? Butte, Montana.
I was like, well, now my ex that's been chasing after me knows where I am. Thanks. Well, I feel I kind of want to like get back to
yes, Janice, we got the call.
Yeah, well, I guess and like that's the thing is like I know, and I wonder too if like when you see people like Kashama Sawant, who's able to get into a socialist organization, able to get elected, you know, like where. So yeah, you know, like And I mean, where's the black people able to do that shit?
Pascal. Daniel asked, could Pascal give an example of a PMC that could be co-opted in this manner?
I'm not saying co-op. What I'm saying is that make a proposition to say the National Black Lawyers Association or accountants who have a younger generation of cadre, maybe under 40, who are more sympathetic to a kind of democratic socialist agenda, and suggest membership into the Democratic Socialists of America to infiltrate into that organization and force it to become more aware and interested in going out into black communities and doing political education. So what I'm saying is that I'm not so much worried about co-opting a black professional managerial class. What I'm saying is that since we realize that the historical posture of the black professional managerial class has been the gatekeepers of the contained black politics, if our goal is to radicalize black politics, then we have to give that class of people, not the elected officials, already in there. The membership organizations who are getting patronage from the corporate faction of the Democratic Party, they're not interested in divorcing themselves from there. They're lost. I'm talking about a guy who's a solo practitioner attorney. His wife is a teacher or a professor, or his wife is an accountant, and they're like, I'm tired of these corporate Democrats. We need to have a vehicle to reach out to them and say, well, listen, let's consider joining DSA. Look at Ocasio-Cortez. Do you like her politics? Would you like to see more politicians with like her? If we were to get, the DSA is only 70,000 people. Let's say we could get 10,000 black folk who are of that class, educated black folk, professional or not, teachers, whatever, nurses, into DSA. 10,000. That's not a lot of people. They could take over a faction of the DSA and orient the whole organization and start saying, we got to go to poor and working class communities. And why do I say DSA? DSA has the infrastructure. They have chapters in every city in the country.
Well, I mean, that's where too is like, I think DSA and left, any organization is not going to be successful unless they meld together. Like, and that's where it's like, just, you know, there's multiple lessons we could take throughout history, but it's like when you talk about Rainbow Coalition, it just fucking taking different organizations and bringing them together towards a focal point. And so, like, I think you're 100% correct. DSA is the most robust, but there are other organizations that are just going to have to, like, and including the DSA, right? There's going to have to be some type of compromise to meld.
Listen. This is why this is the first step, because since we know that most of, particularly black electoral politics, is to the right of the DSA, they're not in the AOC Sanders camp. They're in the neoliberal Biden, Harris, Obama camp. Most black people still want to stay in the Democratic Party, right? We're giving them the opportunity to stay within the Democratic Party, but join the left flank of the party. Operationalize that flank through DSA, and take that operationalization and move it to the poor and working class communities, because our goal is to get the poor and working class black community to infiltrate DSA.
I mean, I would say it would take.
We're not trying to make DSA a black upper middle class socialist organization. No, we're trying to use it because of their historic leadership role in the black community as the pivot. Because they have the skill, they already have the skills of political outreach to those communities as the pivot point, particularly fraternities and sororities, who make up the teachers, who make up the educators, who make up all of the people the church members. And then we can start talking about having DSA meetings in black churches and black high schools.
I think it would be, maybe connecting, like having Corey Bush and Jamal Bowman is like, you listed all the, different jobs, like nurse, principal, these are people who are not of necessarily like the black elite by any stretch of the term. And I mean, that would probably be the first step, right? Of having Corey Bush,
I
Jamal
wish
Bowman.
Janice
I think
Jan could call in because I'd like to hear her thoughts on this. I really do.
to the extent of also Rashida Tlaib covering down in Detroit. I mean, yeah. I mean, like, would you see that as giving cover? You know, with that, like having a Corey Bush and Jamal Bowman, who are left of Democratic, you know, like especially like the Black Democrats for the most part.
But what I'm saying is that we're not necessarily trying to work to elect the traditional Black Democratic Party of this member of the CBC.
Yeah, no, that's what I'm saying. Like,
if this new cadre that we could get into the DSA, they're going to be supporting AOC type candidates. They're going to be supporting Jamal Bowman type candidates. They're going to be supporting Corey Bush type candidates, and they will challenge the traditional Black political class in elected office because there's already friction. Those guys are worried about the DSA faction in major metropolises like New York. Particularly New York.
I think first at forefront, the progressive wing of the Democrats isn't as solidified. There's a lot of, you know, like there's no squad, you know, there's no like legislative power in the small group of people that people assign, you know, to that. But yeah, no, I think like, yeah, you're largely right. I think that having someone,
Sam
if
Jones,
you get Corey,
you have to be dubious of any organization that resides under the umbrella of the Democratic Party. I get that. But there's a certain practicality we have to understand. That's where people are right now. You know, I'm a member of the Green Party. I wouldn't do this in the Green Party because the Green Party is still in a nascent phase. It doesn't have the operationalization that DSA within the Democratic Party has.
And that's what I mean. Like to answer, you know, like also to go to that question, it's like we're talking about how do we get from point A to point B. And it involves steps.
The first step, yes, of course, I would want people to start a third party. Of course, I want a robust, multicultural, multiracial third party with large Black participation. I'm a Green Party member because of that. But I realize that the Green Party is not about that life of that outreach. And unfortunately, the Green Party has a bad taste in the mouth of lots of Black folk. But DSA, Black people, I don't care what they tell you, they're impressed with the fact that Ocasio-Cortez is more intimidating to the ruling class than the whole Congressional Black Caucus and the Black political class. You know what I'm saying?
Yep. Yeah, I agree. I agree. I mean, I think though, like the issues is I think like a lot of things that you're talking about, the pieces are already there. Because that's like I think because Corey Bush is already doing that type of shit. It's just not under a banner. It's just, hey, I'm a Democrat, but I'm a better one than most. And like start drawing. There needs to be lines that start being drawn. I think in a lot of ways that like with the upcoming budget, like, you know, concessions that can be made, people can, you know, actually be held accountable in some way or another. Yeah, I like that's what I'm saying. It's like I think especially Corey Bush and Jamal Bowman going off of the back of what AOC is doing, and a lot stronger in some cases when you talk about Corey Bush. If she was pulling DSA into a lot of her community and then, you know, obviously extrapolating from that, I mean, that seems like right in line with what you're saying, right?
And why DSA is an important tool for me is that they have a political education mechanism internally already that's at least rooted in challenging capitalism. I don't think DSA needs to have to give up their infrastructure. It's not going to be a give up. The organization doesn't function that way. Once you become a member, you have a say. It's democratically run. And the infrastructure will be joined with the new members. I think DSA, frankly, will be happy to become that diverse racially because they realize that's the Achilles heel to them having effective politics. They like Adolf Reed enough to know that.
And I mean, like, and that's the thing too, is like at the end of the day, if any of this is going to be successful in bringing about like true material condition change through left politics, it's not going to be done as like the DSA exists now, right? Like that's the way we're literally
the purpose of having people like yourself, like myself, fraternity sorority members infiltrate the DSA is that we will do the political outreach to the Black community and shift the organization and its national chapter infrastructure and take the political education model, give it a sense of racial integrity that we will bring, and then infiltrate into the Black working class communities in the citywide infrastructure they already have.
And I gotta wonder those, like, you hear, and actually maybe I'll reach out to Kenzo, because I'd be interested to see what a makeup of a DSA chapter is in like large city. Are you even see, like in urban areas, are you even seeing any type of Black representation in DSA chapters? Which I don't know. I live in Maine. I live in Maine.
Labor education with her DSA chapter was very good. That's a Black woman, by the way, who's with DSA.
Who said that?
LME.
Oh, hey, what up? LME was the first call, right? The first call we ever did was LME, right?
Joaquin Chavez says DSA desperately wants what Pascal is talking about.
Oh, we got a call from the East Coast. Hold on. Do this thing with jig. Caller, you are on the air. What is up? Hello.
Hello.
Yeah. You're on the air.
Oh, it's not nice. I'm.
I want to turn your whatever you're listening to. You might want to turn it down a little bit.
Yeah, I'm from Hempstead, and I guess I'm on Long Island. I live on Long Island.
What up?
And the DSA over here, right? Like it's very segregated. Long Island's like the most segregated place probably in the entire country, and the DSA is basically all white, and it's all from the Black people that go to the DSA meetings are not from the poor Black places on Long Island. So whenever they think about like having a food drive or something, they get nervous about coming into the areas.
You saying the DSA gets nervous about going into the areas?
Yeah.
Gotcha.
So they like try to reach out to the few people that are in, the communities of color.
So you're saying that we had a conversation, Pascal, Jean Bajla, and I had a conversation, and I was not in the most festive of moods, and I was being a bit of an Eeyore, and that was my take. Everything you're saying right now, brother.
So he was saying that the Black PMC in his in his chapter are classist and not interested in going in the hood, and the DSA follows their lead.
Yeah, that's why they're in the DSA.
But my position, okay, number one, we got to aim for class diversity, Blacks who join the DSA, but it's logically going to be college-educated Blacks going in first.
Yeah.
And our goal is to get them to go into the. I mean, it's a political education project, and it's going to take time to do this. It's not going to happen at the snap of a finger overnight.
The fucked up part is there are people that go into really fucked up communities and do really good work. When I was living by the homeless encampment, there was people that came through, not all the time, but enough that were doing, everything from feeding people to AIDS testing, which is extremely important. When COVID hit, they were doing COVID testing. So you can go into these communities and do good work. It's kind of frustrating when people get so shook. Go ahead,
Jason. Tell us a story about how your mom got radicalized because of DSA.
My mother is not or was not a very radical woman by any stretch of the imagination, but she was working at Walmart, and she got radicalized by a DSA chapter that was in Walmart that was organizing for a higher minimum wage, and she actually ended up getting fired from Walmart and became an activist. She goes all over the country to help organize now. She's a proud socialist now in her 50s. So you can radicalize people. Especially,
your mom is a perfect example of what I'm talking about working.
Are you still there? Yeah. Caller, are you still there?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I think you made a very good point about like radicalization possible. It's possible, but I also think like Pascal is putting a lot about political education at DSA, and like I've been to those political education meetings, and they're good if you have a significant interest already within political education. The goal is not to like meet you where you are, really.
Gotcha.
It's to continue to expand your like knowledge about like what's potentially possible or shifting, whatever your imagination is about the left. It's not to go out and meet people on this, like in apartment buildings and like do conversations there. Like I've friends of mine have been trying to do that, and I've been teaching throughout the coronavirus because we're back home from college or whatever, and we're facing a lot of pushback from people our age, 20-year-olds, 19.
Oh, did we lose Jason?
Yep, looks like we did. He should be able to come back in.
But I mean, I think that this is a practical, potentially implementable strategy. I think it's the best way of both worlds in terms of getting a certain cadre of Black people the political education and operational mechanisms, chapter by chapter, to take that learning and that. I mean, understand something. Because of the lack of radicalism in Black politics in the post-civil rights era in the last 50 years, these folks are going to have to start basically on why is capitalism a problem for Black people, and start understanding the challenge of capitalism and integrate it into their minds, and then expand the Overton window within their own consciousness, and take that and incorporate bringing in more, particularly working class, hopefully working class and poor Black folk, and move that consciousness into the parameters of Black political life, churches, fraternities, sororities, membership organizations. I think that DSA going to the fraternities and sororities is a good look, because those organizations are not completely, totally wedded to the Democratic Party, any infrastructure, even though most of them are Democrats, because they're 501c3s. They have to be independent. They do tend to create the Black political class, but the younger faction, the under 40 faction, the millennials of those fraternities and sororities are going to be very open to the Sanders agenda, because many of them supported it anyway. So I think the first step to make this possible is to have DSA outreach to national conventions of the Black fraternities and sororities.
And it's something that you've brought up before, and like I think it is something that is really a loss from the Sanders campaign, because the Sanders campaign was the only one like that was actually trying to engage on the campuses of HBCUs, and not just, hey, I have a plan to give them more money. And I think like that's kind of like one of the failures of the Sanders campaign, is that it's like you had a large actionable network that didn't turn over into anything. But I got to imagine that it's still there, right? And like that key into a lot of HBCUs is a lot of the people that are running that campaign. What are they, seniors now? Hopefully, maybe they just graduate.
The membership organizations are key. The fraternities and sororities are key.
My mom had tried to call in, so I'm gonna call my mom right now.
Word.
You guys are gonna be with me to call my mom. I feel like I'm in trouble right now. Back in the day, like, hey, you guys got to come in the house with me because I'm late. You gonna take the rap for this, right? Remember that back in the day? Why can't I call her?
Janice Graham, what do you think about the fraternity and sorority idea I had? Janice Graham is a member of a sorority as well as a member of a fraternity.
Well, I guess I would ask you too of like, and there's just something that's like I wonder if like,
it's ringing.
I can hear everything you're saying.
Good. That's how phones work.
How are you gonna speak to your mother like that?
Have you heard how she talks to me?
Hey, how are you, Pamela Davis?
Good. Hi, Marcus.
Hello. How you doing, Miss Davis? So I apologize for your badass son.
My name is Pam.
Mama.
I tried to get all the grandkids to call in, but I guess they're too scared.
Mama.
What?
I love you.
Love you too.
All right. You want to say anything?
I just wanted to say hi to all of you guys.
That's all
Hi,
you want?
chat room.
Oh my God. Okay. This is why they don't want black people to DSA, Pascal.
That's right. ABOS for life. Reparations. Lineage matters.
Bye, Mama.
Oh man.
Yeah,
In and out.
seriously, my mom yells at me about being too mean to Pascal.
Your mother has a woman of good taste.
And my mom told me yesterday, she said, you need to stop messing with him with that soundboard because he looked like he about to snatch the life right out of him. You only have one mother. That's mine, Pam Davis. Interesting.
Gene said I should join Miami DSA and try to make it happen. I was thinking about it, man.
With Luther Campbell.
What's stopping you?
Only if you join DSA with Luther Campbell. If you and Luther Campbell join DSA, I think it will be the most turned DSA chapter in America, and y'all will be able to get that black vote. Do it.
I think, you know what, I'm considering it, but I mean, my politics are a lot more radical in DSA. But I think that I should operationalize this as a strategic vehicle to try to make it happen. I suggested to another friend of mine in Broward, who was ADOS adjacent. I said, listen, why don't you take that ADOS agenda and join DSA to try to merge and try to get some real politics and get out of this, anti-immigrant nonsense. He was like, you know what? We're going to do that. He's going to join DSA.
One more call. This is the last call of the day. Whoever calls in is the last call of the day. Because so next week we're gonna have Benenev is coming on next week.
A word? Okay.
That's why I was disappearing, because I was trying to get that whole thing scheduled.
Saturday too? Saturday,
yes.
Because I've already read too much of this motherfucker's shit. If it was a Tuesday or Thursday, I just have to come on and then skip my show.
That's why I was like, you gotta come. Well, he's living in Europe, so I knew he had to come on a Saturday. So he's coming on. Yeah. I made up, dude. I was up till I got done with that video. The sun came up.
It's a good video, man. You come. It's like the video, and I don't know why, but it's like it seems like you get better.
Oh, this is coming from Pascal's hometown. All right, here we go. Hello, caller, you're on the air. Where are you calling from?
Oh, damn. First time calling New York.
What up? New York in the building.
Absolutely. So I'm going to tell you, you guys were talking about the DSA. I went to one of the meetings in Brooklyn, and I'm never going back to that again. I'm not going back to that. Pascal, I love you. I love Glenn Ford, Margaret Kimberly. I love the Black Agenda Report. I love your podcast, but don't ever tell me to go to the DSA meeting, please.
Wait a minute.
And I really like. I love your program, and I think the synergy that really occurs between you, your guests, it's really great. How about another option?
Let's hear it.
Dead ass. Just another option. Something that really speaks to the American working class, the diversity of Black, Hispanic, Native American, poor Asians, poor white people. Like, that's really what people need.
Yeah. No, and I don't think anything that you're saying right now is.
I don't have that option here.
What's the brother's name?
My name is Omar, and I voted for Jamal Bowman. I live in Jamal Bowman, and I voted for him, and I regret it.
Omar, it's not that listen, bro. My politics are more radical. My politics are more radical than a lot of the left. Even some of the Black left, and less radical than some of the Black left. But I'm trying to get a practical operational mechanism to radicalize the neoliberal faction of Black politics. You a brother who's already on the left. I can tell ideologically. You read Black Agenda Report. You love all people. You probably more radical than me in some ways. So I can understand why you hated DSA. You've evolved beyond them. I've evolved beyond them too. But I can tell you right now, there was a time when I was younger. You told me about these socialists. I'd be like, "Oh, y'all crazy? What's that?" Because I grew up in the era of capitalist realism. We all did. And what I'm saying is that I totally disagree. I'm not mad at you for saying what you said. You make sense. Brooklyn DSA, it's a lot of trust fund, alabaster leftists. We know what's up. Gentrifiers and the whole nine. So I get it. But what I'm saying is that doesn't mean that the infrastructure cannot be penetrated by people like you and myself who have more radical politics and just move in on those trust fund fakers. You know what I'm saying? And do that in cities throughout the country. And use that infrastructure nationally to try to radicalize working class and poor Black, brown, and Latino people because they have the national infrastructure and they already have some level of success in the political realm. That's why I'm making the proposition, not because I believe the DSA is the holy grail. It's just a tool.
That's it. We're talking about steps along the way. That's what we're talking about. Just steps along the way. And that's like, and it's like when the thing to do is like, if there was another organization that had the same level of infrastructure that the DSA has, we would be mentioning them. We give shouts out to Green Party, PSL, Socialist Alternative. We've been giving shouts out to the other orgs that are out there that may be doing some better things here or there. But if you look at size and scope, it's just not the same thing. And so what we're talking about is a fucking movement to a better fucking world. What would it take for it to get there? You're not going to get a successful left politics in the United States without Black people. How can Black people use the vehicle of the DSA in order to, get material conditions change? That's what we're talking about.
And I'm not saying that if you have politics that are more radical than the DSA, as a Black person, a Latino person, or any person, all right, the DSA may not be for you, but we do know that most people, particularly black folk, are still stuck in that neoliberal democratic stuff. So that's a big step to get them to join DSA.
It also it is a democratic organization, i.e., if you got the numbers, you win. And I could, whether that means, hey, someone with more left politics going into some, Brooklyn DSA, hey, maybe that ain't it.
This is what LME said. LME said, yeah, Pascal is right. DSA was my entry into leftism. It has a structure for left newbies. It's okay to be a member and radicalize yourself further left.
You see how he only reads stuff that says, yay, Pascal? He never
new mic, better light.
This is not a new mic. I've always had this mic. It's just I had it to the side. I'm just closer to it now. I realized this thing right here looks real cool when you're doing a podcast. So you
got to get that. This gets credible.
Read something that says my name, and I just fucked up.
Credibility.
Well, I got one more question. If y'all can indulge me.
Go for it.
All right, so here's my take on the way that the neoliberal establishment has kind of manipulated the Black community. I think a lot of this goes back to the writings of Marcus Garvey and the idea of Black entrepreneurship and the idea of Black capitalism as kind of the catalyst of changing things.
How can we hear about Marcus Garvey when we don't hear about his teacher, Hubert Harrison?
He didn't hear you, Pascal.
I mean, I don't hear Frantz Fanon coming out. I don't hear even W.E.B. Du Bois. I don't hear these names. I hear Marcus Garvey. I hear it in every Black publication and in kind of in the general cultural presentation. You know what I mean? It just penetrated every aspect of every single community, right? That's why there's fetishism over celebrities and athletes and rappers. What's left?
I mean,
there's nothing left in
I'm with you. I'm with you. We try to fight that shit all the time. That's a big purpose of this show, was to literally to fight that shit.
But that's a cultural fight. I mean,
Yeah.
I can remember back in like 1993, 94. I was a big hip hop head. And somewhere in the line between 93 to like 96, the entire music changed, and it became kind of like a celebration of the shadow economy, right? But what it was more facilitating my entire generation, my friends, my family going to jail.
And if you remember,
and jail became kind of a rite of passage. You know, if you weren't a man until you did a bit.
Yeah. I mean, I'm from a similar neighborhood, you know what I mean? And I'm from the other side of the country, and I'm from a very similar sounding neighborhood. And there's a lot to be said about, if you remember the early 90s, when we talk about, we did a show, the first time Pascal was on this show, me, Pascal, and Touré Reed. And then again, when we had me, Pascal, Touré, and Cedric Johnson on, we talked about those films of the 90s. I'll be 44 this year. That's my era. And I loved going to the theater to see those early films. And then once you get to about Belly, if you remember, there was a change in those films to be, like you said, strictly about the shadow economy. There was no kind of ray of hope, if you could find one, in Boys in the Hood or Menace to Society. There really weren't even cautionary tales at that point. It really was just like, these are hood stories, and this is just what it is to be a person of color in the fucking hood. And this is what the motherfucking ghetto is. And this is how you get out the ghetto, but not really, because you're going to die at the end, but really. So no, and that's why a lot of drug dealers, a lot of pimps, a lot of people that are in the shadow economy, they celebrated Donald Trump. Yes.
I mean, I had discussions with people that were like, oh, the crack era is coming back.
You're speaking the truth, brother, because they were celebrating that motherfucker for years. How many times did Wu-Tang say his name on a record from 93 to 2000? And I'm not trying to shit on Wu-Tang. It's just a thing.
But I mean, like, it's like a celebration of fucking like wealth, right? There's just like an individual celebration of the individual wealth. Like, you know, because like they talk about Trump, every time Trump's mentioned, Bill Gates is in the next line. You know, like they're talking about rich motherfuckers.
Because Trump had fuck you money, right?
Yeah.
That's what we all thought. He perceived Trump, that's fuck you money. And who was Trump hanging with back then? Motherfuckers like Russell Simmons. He wasn't hanging
all
with
the Democrats. Going to fucking Bill
Clinton on one hand, Russell Simmons on the other.
Yeah.
Shit.
But then some people were talking about, you know, like the coastal elitism within the DSA, which, like, you know, and like we are able to recognize reality, right? You know, like I think the conversation that we're having is a critique on the current DSA, in which ways it could become better and be part of a movement that changes the fucking material conditions of the working class in the United States. That's what we are talking about right now, right? So is it perfect everywhere? No, that's the fucking point. I think you could also point to examples like Nevada DSA, who had basically taken over. Well, yeah, but like that's things like at the end of the day, you can't say that is business as usual coming out of, you know, in a Democratic Party, and it is because of the DSA organizing. But it's people, right? It's not no fucking 3 letters that makes anything. It's just best practices, good fucking organizational skills, and going out and meeting people where they're at. This is same shit, different day type stuff. Brilliant in the basics type stuff. Going to people and actually addressing what their fucking problem is.
Well, let's before we can let this brother off the line. What part of New York are you calling from?
I'll make y'all a deal. I'll go to a DSA meeting if Pascal and Norm Finkelstein show up.
Oh, hey.
They don't want that smoke.
No.
People say, hey. They do not want that smoke. If you know what's funny? I bet we can make that happen. I think they would kick all 3 of us out. I think they legitimately would do that. I still talk to Norm, and I really like actually Norm Finkelstein a lot. and talking with him.
No, I love that man. I have so much respect for him. Just on the strength that he doesn't hold back, and he really embodies what the left should kind of resemble in America.
This is what's going to happen.
But I don't know what happened to that.
Hey, homie, this is what happens when you three walk into the DSA meeting.
Here it comes!
Coming off the top rope. Oh my God. That's what they're going to hear. That's what they're going to hear.
Jazz, we have a deal for
Thank you, brother. Hey, take care out there, brother. Be safe, man. Peace.
DSA has chapters all over the South, Janice. We know they have no presence in the South. I have a chapter in Miami. There's one in West Palm Beach. There's one in Fort Lauderdale.
Miami don't count as the South, Pascal. Orlando does. Miami don't.
So we gotta wrap it up, man.
Okay. Thank you guys very much for taking the time to watch the show today. Pascal, is this going to be on a public forum that you're?
Yeah, I'm on a panel at 3:00 today on Black politics and the left. I don't even have a link. It's going to be on Zoom. If you go to I'll try to get it posted on the This Is Revolution page so that you guys can see it and check it out. But I just got an email. Today I'll see you at 3:00. Okay.
All right. Well, on that note, as Pascal checks emails, so I lied. Brennan Neff will not be on next week. We had another guest, so he'll be on the 19th. So we'll be talking about automation on Juneteenth.
Oh, hold on. I got a Facebook for the conference.
Put it in the chat.
I'm going to do it now.
Yeah, put it in the chat. All right, this is our video for Zero Books, Biden's War on the Haitian People. Thank you guys very much. And I'm going to play this, and you are so black with that long ass link you want me to put up.
That's the Facebook.
Yeah. And you still are.
What do you want me to do?
Get right.
Anything other than Facebook? What's the organization putting this on?
Platypus.
All right, we'll figure it out, man. Don't worry. We'll put it on Twitter. We'll put it on the Facebook page. It'll go out. So here we go.
Shout out Domer.
Just lastly, a bit of a personal question. Your presence here today is making history. You are the first Black woman to stand behind that podium, speaking on behalf of the president in 30 years. Just wondering if you could share your reflections with us.
Well, thank you for the question. It's a real honor to be standing, to just be standing here today. It doesn't. I appreciate the historic nature. I really do, but I believe that being behind this podium, being in this room, being in this building is not about one person. It's about what we do on behalf of the American people. Clearly, the president believes in representation matters, and I appreciate him giving me this opportunity. And it's another reason why I think we are all so proud that this is the most diverse administration in history.
On Wednesday, May 26, 2021, Haitian American Karine Jean-Pierre, Principal Deputy Press Secretary for the Biden White House, took the podium to address questions from the press. Because the centrist Democratic Party establishment realizes that showcasing racial diversity in the face of its almost 30-year history of supporting bone-crushing policies like NAFTA, GATT, financial deregulation, and the 1994 crime bill is necessary, Democrats use demonstrations of neoliberal diversity as their only talisman to keep the fealty of their more ethnically diverse constituency. The irony of Karine Jean-Pierre being celebrated as the latest manifestation of black girl magic for empire
is that Jean-Pierre's Haitian family background will obscure the fact that Joe Biden is currently supporting a political regime in Haiti almost universally loathed by the Haitian people. Jovenel Moïse, the current strongman president of Haiti, has been brutally governing Haiti after evidence of not only massive financial corruption, but terror and insecurity proliferating throughout the land with kidnappings, politically motivated assassinations, and rule by Moïse's executive decree causing calls for him to evacuate his office. Many Haitians argue his official term in office is over and that Moïse now governs unconstitutionally. Because Moïse has been a willing dupe to America's hardline agenda against the Maduro regime in Venezuela, he has been viewed by the United States as a valuable check against a potential left-leaning tide in Latin and South America. Compounded with Biden's support for Moïse, Biden's administration has carried out an even more extensive Haitian deportation agenda than Donald Trump. In the early months of Biden's presidency, more Haitians have been deported than in the whole last year of Trump's presidency. Now, because of obvious pressure from the Haitian American activist community, Biden has agreed to extend temporary protective status to Haitians, while not only supporting the regime causing the current immigration surge, but also after having ramped up Haitian deportation to numbers even unseen under Trump. This should surprise no one, as Joe Biden at one point in his political career remarked, "The whole island of Haiti could drop into the ocean and it would mean nothing to the United States." Yet now we are all supposed to applaud Biden and American empire because a tool like Karine Jean-Pierre has been chosen to blur the Democratic Party's long, treacherous relationship with Haiti, going back to the Obama and Clinton regimes.
The change in your thinking to have you issue your apology the other day about the food policies?
Oh, I just think that there's a movement all around the world now. I first saw Bob Zoellick say the same thing, the head of the World Bank, where he said, starting in 1981, the wealthy agricultural producing countries genuinely believed that they and the emerging agricultural powers in Brazil and Argentina, which are the only two places that have parenthetically increased wheat yields per acre, grain yields per acre in the last decade, because they're the only places with more than 20 feet of topsoil, they really believed for 20 years that if you moved agricultural production there and then facilitated its introduction into poorer places, you would free those places to get aid to skip agricultural development and go straight into an industrial era. And it's failed everywhere it's been tried. And you just can't take the food chain out of production. And it also undermines a lot of the culture, the fabric of life, the sense of self-determination. And I have been involved for several years in agricultural products, principally in Rwanda, Malawi, other places in Africa, and now increasingly in Latin America. And I see this. So we genuinely thought we were helping Haiti when we restored President Aristide, made a commitment to help rebuild the infrastructure through the Army Corps of Engineers there and do a lot of other things. And we made this devil's bargain on rice, and it wasn't the right thing to do. We should have continued to work to help them be self-sufficient in agriculture. And that's a lot of what we're doing now. We're thinking about how can we get the coffee production up? How can we get the other kinds of the mango production up? We had an announcement on that yesterday. The avocados, lots of other things.
What about the renewal of Aristide, which has been asked for by demonstrations even right across the street today?
Well, that's not in my purview. That's up to the Haitians, including those that aren't demonstrating.
That was
The vile utility of Karine Jean-Pierre as Biden's Haitian-American mouthpiece will be unclear to many Haitians who will fall into the same tragic trap of black faces in high places that has so treacherously plagued black American politics. Ridiculous blackface compradors for the ruling class like Obama and Kamala Harris have been a normative part of the political game for some time now. However, those seeking clarity will hopefully come to realize that this con game is running its course and enemies of the people can come in a whole rainbow of colors, and variations of gender and sexual orientation. The Democratic Party's identity politics charade is the last card they have to maintain their position as guardians of the left flank of Capitol. The masses of people need to become more aware of how this liberal charade of identity inclusion is merely a smokescreen to keep people in check as the current American reality becomes more and more precarious. Let us all become aware of these contradictions and fight the empire, regardless of the multicolored players used to control the levers of destruction. This is
There is no faith at all. What I was referring to was the principle of recognizing the government that was voted in by the people of Haiti, even though the government failed miserably, not only just in terms of its response to the disaster, but even before that. What Preval applied himself to do was to gather the political class, put them in his pocket, and then deliver it to the international community, mostly the United States government, so they could do whatever they needed to do with Haiti. With the disaster, the program that they already had in mind to capture Haiti's state can be accelerated. If they were going to do it in 10 years, this disaster is really a boon, a godsend for everybody, actually, for the reactionary, for the imperial powers, and also for Haitian progressive who want to take the opportunity to do something and establish public forums throughout Haiti and build a national, popular, grassroots movement to say, hey, we're here and we need to be involved. We must be involved. This is our country. And no reconstruction of Haiti, no building of Haiti can be done without us. This is the key moment here. After the carnival of conferences and the beautiful show of universal support, now this is serious business. Are we going to let them take hold of our country for 30, 40 years, as they've done since 1915? Or are we going to step up to the plate and go through the usual nonsense, secondary contradictions that we have among us? And
all right. Thank you guys for hanging out with us.
Pascal already dipped. Yeah, he's like, oh fuck this, I'm done.
Yeah, he's
that sucks, man. That fucking. But I mean, is this the first time that's happened?
What?
That someone no showed?
Yep.
That's kind of. I mean, like that. Like, is it weird? That's pretty good. Are we still on?
We're still on, actually.
Oh.
I didn't end it. I just want to say thank you, everybody. Thank you for everybody that called. No, it's totally fine.
Yeah, no, I didn't say anything fucking bad. I was just like, oh wow, kind of shitty. But I mean, like, it's the first time shit happens. No,
He's actually very apologetic. You don't understand. When I go off air, I'm usually cursing up a storm and running back and forth and chasing children. So I definitely yelling some obscenities. But thank you guys for taking the time to watch the show today. Our guest is scheduled for June 19th. Juneteenth. The Juneteenth show is going to be a great show about automation, and I will save the intro video that I was doing till 5 a.m.
It's a good video. It is good.
So, all right, Marcus, we're going to take us out. Thank you guys. Thank you for the super chats. Thank you guys for the support. This is fucking huge. As you can see, we're trying to make the show better. We got phone calls now. Pascal's got a light. He's coming with the button up every day now.
His internet is getting kind of okay-ish.
Man, shit is changing. So it's all because people are helping the show get better. And I do want to see Pascal and Norm Finkelstein walk into a DSA meeting.
Well, and this is what, like, something like for me though is that, like, it almost doesn't matter to me what the DSA is right now. You know, some of the stuff that we're talking about, you know, like, I don't want to, but it's just like, if you got a hammer, it's just like, oh, hey, the handle on this hammer, it's a little splintery. We'll grab some fucking duct tape around it, wrap it around that motherfucker. And let's use the fucking hammer. You know, and that's, I think that it'll, like, which is hard, right? For people who are more left, it'd be like, to want to, I don't want to go back to, like, no, man, put some duct tape on that motherfucker. We need that shit.
I think we should all. You already joined a DSA chapter. I pay dues. I don't get a chance to go to any meetings, so I'm not going to sit here and act like I'm super active.
Yeah, and also too, shout out to like chapters that are already a nice, pristine, fly as fuck sledgehammer that is making. And like, right, we got to see, right, we got to see. But at the end of the day, at the end of the day, like you said earlier, there's a lot of things that go on in cities, local areas, and stuff like that. That like DSA local chapters, amongst a shit ton of other organizations that just do good on the ground work, and like. That's one thing that I don't want to harp on or like really hurt on when we're talking about these broad brushstrokes of like national organizations.
Yeah. So I'm like I said, I'm excited. I think Pascal is really gonna join DSA. Like he's not joking. He's pretty serious.
I think he should. I don't know what you I mean, I was thinking about trying to get maybe Kenzo.
I'll tell you off air what I said.
All right.
It's definitely an off air conversation. And on that note, enjoy the video I made for our nerd show, and we're gonna go out with that.